Is February 22, and lots and lots is going on this week, this month. Hi, Jen Wilner.
Hello, Bonnie. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Yeah, we're this is a very big week and very exciting. And Jen, I want to thank you for helping change the branding for this week.
My pleasure.
Our viewers will notice that we have a TEDx theme. This is the week. This is it. The TEDx event is this coming Saturday, February 5th. It is being streamed live on the TEDx Rutgers Camden YouTube channel. We're going to be showing you the program in just a few minutes. Really excited to have you here. And tomorrow, but before we jump in, because I've got a lot to share with the audience today. Tomorrow happens to be Jennifer Wilner's birthday. Right, Jen?
Yes,
I got it right, didn't I? And I would like everyone listening to join me. Jen, happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Happy birthday.
Don't sing. You're going to get in trouble with YouTube.
Happy birthday, dear Jennifer. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Followed by, we do not own the rights to this song.
How funny that, of course, you would say that. So welcome to the show, Debbie and Yumi and Diane and everyone. Yes, tomorrow is Jennifer Wilner's birthday. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life, Jen. How are you going to celebrate? What are you hoping for?
I have some friends taking me out for lunch, and I am taking the day off.
Okay. We got to tell everybody you work with.
Yeah.
Don't call Jen. Don't call her.
You can call me.
Don't pick up if I call. Okay. But everyone is joining me in wishing you a very happy birthday.
Thank you, everybody.
I hope this year brings you everything that you are hoping for.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yes, so Jen Wilner's birthday is tomorrow. And here we are. There's a lot going on for our community. And, you know, there's a lot going on in the world. And I'm troubled by much of it, some of it. The theme for today is that we need each other. We absolutely need each other, that none of us gets here alone, and that we need to embrace the wonderful diversity of our community. On this show, we have viewers and listeners from all over the world, from all ethnicities. And, on January 27th, it was Holocaust Remembrance Day. And that was important to recognize. February 1st began the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Tiger. And that's important to recognize for the people who celebrate that holiday as part of our community. And February is Black History Month. And that's vitally important for us to acknowledge in our administrative community. We, as I was watching the news about the bomb threats against the Black colleges in the United States in the last few days, and even in January, God knows when else, I was reminded of a story that happened when I was in Chicago. I lived in Chicago in my early 20s. And this is what happened. Now, those of you who have been in the Midwest know that Chicago in the winter can be brutal. And I mean, I remember it distinctly that it was the winter of 79, which is the one, Chicago always gets really bad winters, but that was the one they actually made T-shirts for, I survived the winter of 79. I know, how bad does it have to be for them to make T-shirts, right? And I remember one morning coming out to my car, and my car was dead. the battery was dead. And sometimes that happens when it's brutally cold outside.
Mhm.
And my neighbor, this man, came out. I guess he saw me through the window. He came outside and he got jumper cables out of his car and he said, "Hey, I'm going to jump you. I see your car's dead, right?" And in like 2 minutes, he had me up and running again. And I said, "Wow, thank you so much.
Wow.
I'd never had that happen to me before." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you would do that for me, right?"
Aw.
And I'm like, "Absolutely, I would." And that day, I remember going out to the auto supply store and getting a set of jumper cables for my car. And what that event highlighted for me is that nobody knows like which day it's going to be their turn to need help, right, Jen?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that day it was my turn. He didn't know whether next week it was going to be his turn
Yeah.
to have his car be dead. And that was really an important event for me because I've never forgotten it. And then in the working world, all of you on this call in offices, we all know the feeling of being swamped and like drowning in work and needing help. Denise is like talking about paying it forward.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I love that concept. We talk about it at Be the Ultimate Assistant. Everyone on this call knows the feeling of being so swamped with work and so grateful when our colleague looks at us drowning and says, "Hey, what can I do to help you? What do you
Absolutely.
need? What can I do?
Right.
Like let me have it."
Point me in a direction.
And some assistants put, the red ball on their desk like they're drowning and we have different ways of saying when we need help, but we all have a turn, don't we? Don't we all take a turn in when we're drowning, and it doesn't all happen at the same time. We need each other. And sometimes we don't even know. Susan, it's certainly okay to ask for help. Absolutely. I'm always struck by some of the assistants in our community who have been doing this forever, doing this a really long time, and have tons of resources, and they have their go-to people. Two quick stories. I know a celebrity assistant in New York, and her celebrity, they ended up moving from Long Island to Manhattan. And that may not seem like a big distance, but in the world of New York City, it's really a big difference.
That's a big difference.
And she needed a whole new set of resources in New York City versus Long Island. And you've got to know she was so together in Long Island, and bring her to New York City, and it was a whole new ball game. How about the celebrity assistant who works for like one of the mega wealthy, high net worth people in the world, so resourceful, but she needed this community when her executive was over in Europe when that volcano erupted years ago, and it grounded air travel in Europe. And she had to call upon this community for resources for private planes because private planes could fly under the ash. So
Wow.
you never know. I think that really just what's been going on is making me think. Yeah, Janice, right? She forgets to look up and wave the white flag.
Mhm.
We need to. We need to wave the red flag. We need to say, "Help! I'm drowning," because wouldn't we want someone to help us? And we would like to help somebody else if they're drowning in work. So the theme is we need each other. The theme is also today about curiosity and knowing, because the other thing about this community, about all of you, is that you need to know the facts. You're in the the, the data business. You know,
So,
I'm not sure I've ever met an assistant who didn't value the thing that makes people upset is when they don't have all the facts, all the details, and you want to know the details. So Jen, I've asked Jen to include the link for the documentary that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago called on Netflix called 9 to 5, the story of a movement. It's an hour and a half documentary, and it seems to me that many of you who I've spoken with knows that this workplace is in serious transition right now. There's just so much movement, so much change. And if we are going to move forward into creating something new in this workplace, it's important to know where we've been. That's what I think. And I hope you'll agree on, and please let me know, am I right that you want to know if there's a difference between knowing or not knowing all the details to something, whether it has to do with your executive, a situation at the office, you want to know. You want to know like what they're talking about with COVID. You want to know what's being planned. Are you going back? Are you not going back? Are you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're big picture people.
That's what I believe I know. And so I urge you to watch that documentary, 9 to 5, the story of a movement, because it really helped remind me of our history, of our shared history, no matter what color you are, no matter what age you are. If you are in the administrative profession, this documentary speaks to how we're operating right now. That's what I think. And then last night, I watched another documentary on a totally different subject. Jen, I've asked Jen to include the link for the documentary on Netflix called Clive Davis, the soundtrack of our lives. Now, for those of you who love music, I mean, if you know me, you know I love movies, I love the arts, and I love music of many kinds. And Clive Davis was a very respected and revered record producer. He started out being the head of Columbia Records. And this 2-hour documentary was so moving last night because this man started as a lawyer, but then he began as a record head, a studio head. And since the 60s, this man, Clive Davis, who is still alive and still going strong, showed such a lesson as a leader. The idea that he can be wildly successful and super wealthy without being a jerk. That artists wanted to stay with him because he treated them respectfully and he saw them for who they were as a unique person. And that watching that documentary made me think about this community and what we're all yearning for from our leaders and our managers. One of the artists, and my goodness, he worked with the best, you know, everybody from Whitney Houston, Janis Joplin, Earth, Wind and Fire. I mean, just one of the mistakes he made, he said he passed on Meatloaf, but he didn't make too many mistakes. And hi, Laura Belgrado, you're here. Talking about the Clive Davis documentary and how he was such a wonderful leader of not only his staff, but the artists who he represented. And one of them made a comment. He said, you know, as busy as Clive was, and he had dinner with his family every Sunday, and he had all of these mega stars on his roster, he said no one felt left behind.
Right.
No one felt left behind. And one lawyer, when he changed record companies, you should watch the movie and you know, you'll get all the details of the story, but his staff yearned to stay with him. His staff yearned to keep working with him no matter where he went. And that reminded me of this community. Janelle,
So it's pretty cool.
the honor of working with Clive Days at Arista. I was the morning receptionist, and I'm still good friends with his current EA today. You know what, Janelle? I want you on the show. I'd love to have both you and the current EA on the show. Please tell her how much I loved that documentary. And I mean, it was so moving. Love the story, just how his staff wanted to stay with him, loyalty, and and he didn't have to be a jerk. He didn't, when he moved director companies, he didn't poach people. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to get back at them, and I'm going to, I'm going to poach you." He didn't do that. He was a classy, good guy who ended up being mega wealthy because he did the right thing. He did the right thing. So Janelle, write to me, Bonnie at BonnieLow-Kramen.com, if you would be interested in talking about that experience. And Janelle, I wonder if you saw that documentary. You probably did. Yeah. So, I know Rose Marino, who worked with Clive for almost 30 years. Now, doesn't that tell you something? That this EA stayed with him. Wow, just read the lyrics. Bonnie, this hit home to me more than ever. Thank you. Yeah. Amazing. It's an amazing movie. And if you love music, there will be something for you in this film. So, I'm just trying to share with you resources that mean something to me. Oh, Janelle, you saw it. It was, and I'd love you to mention or include whether it's accurate. Is it? I mean, the guy was so cool. I'm just, so happy to know that, sometimes the good guys do win. And he's been doing it since the 60s. I mean, this isn't just like 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. I mean, the guy is amazing. So I mentioned that it's Black History Month, and one of the very best books that I know on the subject that will help us build a bridge with our Black colleagues is this book. And I've asked Jen to put the link in the chat box. The book is called Cast by Isabel Wilkerson, and it, got it. You could, of course, read about it on Amazon. This book really filled me in, and I love history, and I feel like I'm a student of history. I've had the great honor of going to South Africa and to speak in Johannesburg, and I wanted to know their history about apartheid, and there's the Apartheid Museum there. And it was so interesting how it tied very much to our history here in the United States. And if you get the chance to go to Washington, D.C. and go to the African American Museum there, it's an extraordinary experience. But what's great, like so many museums, they have a virtual tour on YouTube. And ironically, I grew up in New Jersey, and I went to high school with the man who is the curator of the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. His name is Lonnie Bunch. And I just know him to be a man of such high intellect and ethics and determination to get it right, kind of thing. And again, I know that appeals to this group, the idea that we are committed to excellence and we want to get it right. So if you as we celebrate Black History Month and we have our eyes open to what's going on around us in the United States and around the world, I think this book, Cast, can really help frame the conversations that are happening that are difficult. And, in the 10, 11 years that we've been doing Be the Ultimate Assistant, one of the joys of the workshop is how diverse our students are and how diverse this community is, that there are 10 million assistants in the United States. And my goodness, it's all ages and ethnic backgrounds. Laura is talking to us today from Brussels. And that's interesting that you just purchased the book, Laura, and you have mixed race kids. And it is a very important read. The history is complex and it's difficult, but just like with 9 to 5, the story of the administrative profession, isn't it better to know the truth about where we've been so that it can help inform the future?
Absolutely.
The conversations at Be the Ultimate Assistant have been enriched by the diversity of thought, the diversity of, where assistants come from geographically in our country, and sometimes out of the country. That's such a delight to get a handle on the differences, but more to the point is how much more we have in common than not. That's what I observe. I mean, have you observed that, Jen?
Sorry, the diversity. I got stuck in Laura's comment.
Oh, let's put up what Laura's saying.
Bonnie said, "Yeah, this is a must share. I just had to call my fellow assistants in New York City, and I'm distraught totally how they are treated. Not okay. So I'm giving them my support to try and find their voices. We need to talk more to introduce you to them."
Yeah. So I guess that's a perfect segue. Thanks, Laura, into TEDx for this Saturday. Super excited about it. If you join us weekly, you know that I'm doing a TEDx talk this Saturday, February 5th. It's a live stream. I had to record the talk because it was going to be a live event, but it's virtual because of COVID numbers in New Jersey. So Jen, can you put up the program? Jen is putting the link in the chat in case I'm hopeful that you not only want to listen to me speak, but also the other speakers. And what you can't see is at noontime, the event kicks off at noon Eastern time. It doesn't say ET, but it's TEDx Rutgers Camden. Jen is putting the link in the chat. The president of Rutgers University is kicking it off at noon time. And I'm so thrilled to listen to him. And as they've told me, I am the fourth speaker down. There are 3 speakers you see on the program. And then there's a performance. Dylan, I don't know if she or he is a singer. I don't know. But I am the next speaker after Dylan. So no talk is more than 15 minutes. Yes, Laura, please, any of you are welcome to share this program. It is completely free. There's no limit on the number of people who can listen in, which is super cool. And then Jen, if you could just go on to the next page, there's a total of 12 speakers. So they're estimating that, and the professor who I know who's going to be talking about racism is the second person down, Dr. Oscar Holmes. And he's awesome. And he teaches in the business school at Rutgers in Camden, New Jersey. And I'm just very excited to hear him speak. He's going to be talking about how do we end racism. So you can take it off now, Jen.
Sure.
So there's the program. You are so welcome to watch on Saturday in the live stream. And then, of course, if you can't, people have lives, Bonnie. And it is a Saturday afternoon after all. The video will live on the TEDx channel. And I'm going to post it on my website, et cetera. Of course, I'll do that. And, my topic is the real reasons that people quit. And Laura was just saying how she was talking to some colleagues and Laura Belgrado, by the way, based in Brussels, is one of our world's most talented trainers of assistants. If you don't know her already, she's been a guest on this show, and she comes in. And Laura, I'm so moved that you stop by, that you make time for Heads Together on Wednesdays. I appreciate it so much. There are too many assistants and staff in general who are not being treated well. And it's complicated. There are lots of reasons why, but I'm here to say openly, none of it is okay. None of it is serving the workplace. And we need to play a part in fixing what's broken, because I think there's a lot that's broken. So I decided that since I don't know if I'll ever do a TEDx talk again, I hope I get a chance, but I thought long and hard about the topic and what I wanted to say on this subject. And essentially it is about what's wrong in our workplace and why are people leaving in droves, and how do we turn this thing around? There has to be a way to turn this thing around. So I hope you follow me on LinkedIn, and Jen helps me post on every platform out there, right? Between Instagram and Facebook. Here's the thing. Saturday is the live stream. The show is probably going to go till 3:30-ish Eastern time. On Sunday, and we have posted this also on my LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, what they're doing at Rutgers Camden is they've provided a Zoom link to have a talk back, to have a Q&A with all the speakers on Sunday, on the day after. So if you're a real TEDx fan or a Bonnie fan, if you watch it and you want to be involved in a conversation the next day, it goes from 2 to 3:30 Eastern time. Again, completely free. And I know that there's a lot of curiosity about TEDx and how it all works. And man, it's quite the process. Laura's saying she knows why she quit. Yeah. Well, Susan and all of you, thank you so much for your support for this. It's a big deal. And that's why Jen and I wore red and black today. And it kind of looks like an offshoot of the Netflix logo, doesn't it? I don't have any stock in Netflix. So, I just happen to be watching those really terrific movies. I see this show, Heads Together, as a way to share resources that are important to the whole community globally. And we're in such a time of change and volatility that I see this moment as an opportunity, that it's a golden opportunity. That will be made even better if we can discuss the issues that need to be addressed, and let's get this thing done. Let's tackle this, because it's not okay that people are not being treated well in the workplace, and we need to talk about why.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
Let's do it.
So, oh my gosh, it's been a quick half hour today. Jen, if you could put up the scroll.
I do. I have one more thing we need to mention.
Yes.
If you don't mind.
No, please.
So there is a hashtag that is coming up in the comments now. So however you choose to watch, when you watch Bonnie on TEDx on Saturday, you take your photos and screenshots and whatnot. Please use the hashtag watching Bonnie on TEDx, and then she can see all your wonderful comments. But this is a way that we can see them to make sure that Bonnie sees them.
So Janelle, I mean it when I said, please contact me if you're interested in coming on to talk about Clive Davis. I hope you'll go to my website, BonnieLow-Kramen.com, for lots of free resources. And in fact, there is a tab called Free Resources, and I have not only workplace bullying resources, but also ones about anti-racism, and which is very timely and super important at every time of the year, every day of the year, not just Black History Month. So I welcome your comments, your questions, your input about these issues that impact us each and every day in our workplace, whether we're working virtually or in the same office with people. I hope you stay safe. I hope you will be there on Saturday, and next Wednesday when we come back for Heads Together, I'd like to have a conversation about your thoughts about the event this Saturday. I hope you'll come back and be with us and share your thoughts, not only about my talk about what are the real reasons people quit, but you'll check out the program. I know it was a little hard small to see. But there's a real diversity of speakers on Saturday, and certainly a diverse set of different topics that people are discussing. So if you're interested, please join us. Angelica Canales, Cynthia, Karam, it's so great to see all of you. Erin, thank you. Please be safe. If you are in a place that's getting ice and snow, please be careful. I hope you are staying away from COVID.
Yes.
And we will get through this thing together. So at least you've got something to watch on Saturday. And, for those of you who, one last recommendation, those of you may remember a couple of months ago where I had a guest on this show, Stacey Pinkerton, who was one of Bill Cosby's rape victims. There's a new documentary out by W. Kamau Bell called We Have to Talk About Cosby. And it's on Hulu and Showtime. And I want to watch it, and I urge you to watch it. Stacey Pinkerton is interviewed on there. And then I'm going to have her back. So lots of things to talk about on this show, because some new heads rolled today about sexual harassment. It's kind of crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Jen, happy birthday.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. I will think of you all.
And I'll look for you all on social media on Saturday, and feel free to take screenshots. I'd love to see them. And please know how grateful I am for your support.
Absolutely.
Mwah.
See you next week.
See you next Wednesday.